We are continuing our journey here on taping the bonus room. And as you can see, we are progressing pretty nicely. We've got some seams of tape on this entry wall here. You can see the main entry into the bonus room is getting taped quite nicely. You'll also notice that the seams are getting a little bit smaller, which means I'm getting a little more better at taping the seams up. I also switched over to a 3-inch knife instead of the 4-inch knife, especially on the corners, because these strips of paper are only like 2.5 inches wide. So a 3-inch knife on each edge is more than enough to put joint compound down. So it makes it a little easier. And we are continuing to move down this wall. I've even actually got into this closet here. Let me turn this light on. You'll see what I'm talking about. And we've got some tape up there. We've got the corners done here. So I think my goal today is to finish this closet off. I got a little bit of sanding in there. I had to fill in some gaps because there was some white spaces. I've also done that in the corners here, but easy enough to take off. But we are going to, I think, finish this closet first, and then we'll move back out into this area. At least get the inside done. If I have time, I'll get this outside done too. And then the other thing that is going very well is the amount of joint compound being left after I skim this coat on is very minimal, which means that I'm going to have far less sanding to do to finish this off before I put the second and third coats on. And that's the entire goal of adding joint compound onto seam tapes. You put it on good enough where you have minimal sanding before you apply your next coat. And that's just gonna be a big time saver. Not only just in joint compound and material savings and time and labor, but a lot more less time on your shoulders as you're sanding all this stuff down. It gets very tiring after a while. So we are going to continue on. We'll give you an update soon here on the next set of progress, and we'll go from there. So here are some more tools that I'm using as I sand this area down and get the corners and everything smoothed out. And these are these sanding blocks. And these are the ones that are kind of soft to the touch, foam kind of blocks. And they come in various sizes and shapes. For example, got this one here that has an angle on it, makes it easier to get in the corners. Got this is the normal size that you find at a store. You've also got this larger one if you want to do larger areas. I find using these a little bit easier because they last a long time, and they come in different grits also, very similar to how sandpaper is. So, you know, with sandpaper you can get a 40, 60, 80, 100, 150, 200 grit, and the higher the grit, the finer it is. Same thing with these things, but I think they come in like fine, coarse, medium, and I like using the coarse on the first layer. It gets all of the rough areas patched out, and then as I get to the second and third coat, I will move up to finer, coarse on the sanding block. So you can see I've got a bunch here from my years of sanding drywall. But they're in all different various states. This one just happens to be coarse. You can tell how dark it is here. That's really a good indication that it's very coarse. This one is a lot more finer, you can see here. So I'm using this one now to get all of the rough spots off on the first layer. But I've always liked these, and I do have a sanding block with sandpaper on it. That's this one here. And this got a really coarse sandpaper on it. This is probably 60, maybe even 40 grit on it. It's been used a while. But this is good to have too, because what you want to do and use this one for is on a painted wall where you have joint compound that's going to be applied. You want to use one of these because you want to get the dullness, and you want to get the paint down to a dullness shine on it. You don't want the glossiness that you can see in the reflection there. You want this to be kind of dull. So what I'll do here is I'll sand this down all all the way where the joint compound is going to go. Same on this side here, because you want the joint compound to stick to the wall. It will probably stick if you don't sand it down, but to be safe, you don't want any of that flaking off or peeling back when you apply joint compound. So it's good to sand that down to a point where it will help adhere it to the wall. So that's it for the sanding blocks, and we'll give another update soon. So we are continuing our journey with taping all these joints with tape and joint compound. And you can see here, I've done a little more. I believe I got that top one in there. I also got the top row here. Just put that one on a little while ago. And did a little more in the closet here. This was the last one that I did, this row right here, and call it quits after that one. Did that one there, turned around the corner. This one was actually done a while ago, a couple of days ago. But what I decided to do as part of a precursor to what's going to happen in several videos from now is I sanded this one down with a very fine sanding block, one of the ones I showed you earlier. And this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. It's very smooth going in from the top to the bottom. I mean, you can feel a little bit of roughness there. That's because it's only the first coat and you can actually feel the tape. But it's in a perfect position to add a second and then a third coat on to finish it off. So eventually you can just tell the difference here if you look real close, this compared to up there. It's very smooth, and the intent is to get all of these like that, of course, and eventually we will. So we are going to continue on and call it a night and or day. As you can see, it's nighttime again. I have actually finished the closet with all of the normal angles and flat surfaces. So the 90-degree angles there, the flat surfaces here and up above. The only pieces that are missing here for tape is this angle here, which is a 45-degree angle, and the same thing at the ceiling. 45 degrees down. We are doing something a little bit different there. I have some different type of tape, and I am going to cover that in another video as we get closer to doing all these 45-degree angles. So with that being done, we are going to continue moving towards me with all of the taping. Now that I've got that closet done with all of the different angles and the corners that I had to do and the Frankenstein pieces up here, which is all done now. This piece out here, all of these pieces should go relatively quick. We've got long runs, horizontal runs that can just take one piece of tape, long vertical runs that will do the same thing, and then we'll move up into the ceiling also. So I am going to close this update out, because number one, again, it's dark out, and this is going to be a multi-update for taping the bonus room. So we will continue on to the next update, and we'll talk soon. So until then, peace out.